a lot of big projects in the next year. We just went to the ULAC conference in Ottawa, which made 2021 seem very near for hosting the conference. Panic has set in, which is not a bad thing. But we were even given the flags, the official flags for the Eastern region hosts. So definitely that horizon is quickly approaching. So I'm sure people will pop on. Yeah, I see people just continue to pop on. This is kind of a free-flowing conversation, as I said, so nothing major. But if you want, I can give you all a bit of an update as to what we've been up to. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we are hosting the ULAC 2021 conference in Cornwall, as most of you know, and that will be at the end of May of that year. One thing we did is we formed. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. No. I think somebody should kind of hop on. So we formed a core planning committee quite a while ago when we first formed Bridge-Annex, which was really the major purpose, right? Tricia forming Bridge-Annex was to try to bring the conference back to Eastern Ontario, in the Cornwall area. And then, of course, it blossomed into this virtual branch, which was really nice. So our core team is, of course, Trish and I are the co-chairs. And we've invited Susan Peters, who's the archivist of Dundas County Archives along the St. Lawrence River, who's on our team. Amanda, you're on the team?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we also have Kevin Lajoie, who's the manager of Cornwall City Tourism. Now, Cornwall City Tourism in the city of Cornwall has really been eager to be a major player in putting this conference together, because our vision is not to just host the Loyalist Association annual conference, but rather to make this a premier historical event to bring the spotlight into Loyalist history being part of our continuous living history. And so people can come and participate in reenactors camp and watch the reenactments. In addition to that, have some really different things. Like we've even been throwing around ideas like having video game suites that feature historic video games based on the American Revolution, so that you engage. And I think, Amanda, you said a lot of the reenactors play historic themes.
I know like a couple of them.
Yeah.
They're pretty geek. They're geeky. Yeah. So, but I can maybe get my boys who are really into video games to research that. I don't know.
Yeah.
If they're good or not.
The bonus is, because Cornwall is so centrally located, not only to major centers in Canada, but also into the US, we have access to some pretty amazing potential partnerships. One of them being, if we were to do something like the video game suite, Ubisoft actually has their headquarters in Montreal. And I happen to have taught at St. Lawrence College for a number of years, and some of the students that are there are now some of their head designers. So I'm hoping that they can come in and show us how we can interpret history in a variety of ways. So those are kind of the ideas. The city of Cornwall also has indicated that they may be able to financially support us quite nicely. I think Trish and I were surprised by the eagerness of the kind of money that they might be throwing at this event, because it is certainly an opportunity for them to showcase another important part of their not only early history, but we said there's such a continuity between the story of the United Empire Loyalists having come up during the American Revolution to even the new immigrant families that are settling in that area, and of course throughout Canada and the US. So we think that the stories that we will be interpreting in a variety of different ways will be able to engage people in understanding that there is similarities between that. So certainly lots of exciting things, but we're always looking for ideas. Everything's sort of on the table at this point. We have a few mandates about the kinds of speakers that we want, so we're looking for a variety of interesting speakers. Everything from archaeologists to some of the ULAC scholarship students who would be doctors in their field of history at this point who would have received some of the monies from the ULAC scholarship. So certainly, you know, we're going to have quite a high caliber of speaker and quite a wide variety, in addition to having quite a number of events that people can pick and choose from. So the City of Cornwall has also offered us to be able to use their ticketing system. We had discussed using something like, what's it called, Amanda?
Eventbrite?
Yeah, Eventbrite. And when we mentioned that to the City of Cornwall, so that people could order their tickets and kind of pick and choose the events that they wanted to pay for and participate in, the City of Cornwall mentioned to us that they actually have their own ticketing system that they use for major events like concerts, and they have Cirque du Soleil in there right now. So certainly that system would be available to us.
That would probably save us money too, right?
I mean, there's a small, you know, percentage that gets taken off of every ticket sold, but it's so minimal. And because it is not only that they manage, you know, people getting their tickets, but also the promotion within that. So there's lots of promotional opportunities. So that's sort of where we're at. Trish and I did have an exciting meeting with Kevin Lajoie in Cornwall in the last few weeks. And so we have some sort of precursor projects that we're working on, one of them being a walking/driving tour throughout Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry that may be available within the next year. And that'll be using technology in addition to having maps that people can get at the tourist information centers. We will be promoted as, you know, the conference in 2021 within those maps and things like that. So, and we'll provide all of the information to make sure that if there's, say, you know, 20 stops on a historic tour map, that 6, 8, whatever are loyalist-based stops. So if we do the work, we get to kind of drive the stops that you go in. The beauty of that is that I'm originally from Cornwall, and so many of us have connections in Cornwall that we know all of sort of the inside track, and we have an enthusiasm for that. So that's a project that we're currently working on, and it looks like the City of Cornwall will at least attempt to give us the funding to pull that off. So lots on the go there. Okay. Kevin, I was just mentioning to Kevin briefly, I think I had sort of talked with him about this week in the Mohawk Valley at the end of September, beginning of October, because when he said he was going to be at Fort Ticonderoga conference of the American Revolution on the weekend of the 21st of September, Johnson Hall is actually going to be having an event on the 28th of September weekend. Part of it is to thank people who have contributed to the restoration of Johnson Hall, which is a traditionally restored. So they had somebody hand print all the wallpaper, do the traditional flooring methods. So everything's been done to historic standards. ULAC, put forth by Bridge Annex, ULAC has actually contributed $4,000 Canadian towards that. In addition, Bridge Annex held another fundraising portion in which we were able to contribute an additional $800 Canadian to that. So ULAC and Bridge Annex, among the other financial contributors and such, are going to be invited to Johnson Hall on the weekend of the 28th of September. So I'll get more details about that, because I believe it's going to be open to the public for public viewing for the first time, kind of the unveiling and the official unveiling of the historic restoration of Johnson Hall. And because I am speaking at the Old Stone Fort on the weekend of October 6th, and I believe, Amanda, are you reenacting that weekend?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, and that's in Schoharie, am I right? Schoharie.
Yeah, at Stone Fort. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So because I'm talking about loyalists on the 6th, and Amanda's going to be there, obviously interpreting the British loyalist side, what we thought we'd do is I would just stay in the Mohawk Valley for that entire week, and we would build a series of events with our partners and friends in that area to invite Bridge Annex members and others to come to either talks or meet us at certain historic sites and have kind of, you know, private, smaller interpretations of those sites with a loyalist slant, as it were. So one of the things that is nice is that you can come see my Loyalist presentation on the 6th at the Old Stone Fort in Schoharie. Already, Fort Plain has an excellent speaker on October 3rd, Eric Schnitzer, who is, I want to say a park ranger, I'm not sure that's what they're called, at Saratoga Battlefield. And he has an interesting talk, so that's already planned. But I've already made contact with Brian Mack, and he said, well, maybe you could talk during the week at the Fort Plain Museum also. So there may be another opportunity there. But we're certainly looking at, you know, Stone Arabia, doing an interpretation there, maybe having some of the historic sites. The Valley History Alliance are members of Bridge Annex now. Am I right, Amanda? I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. So recently, Fort Plain Museum and Historic Park, the Valley History Alliance, and Johnson Hall, am I right, Amanda? Yeah.
Yep.
They all joined as supporting organizations. They all joined Bridge Annex. And so we'll be working with them to create some interesting events during that week. So whether you pop down for, you know, the weekend of the 28th and you get the Johnson Hall and you stay a few days and you do some really neat activities that will guide you along for a few days, or if you stay weekend to weekend, there's going to be plenty to engage our members, and then of course the people that are in the valley themselves. There's always such great friendship down there, so there's, you know, it's not a matter of being loyalist or patriot. Everybody's a mishmash of, we're all family, because we literally are in a lot of cases. So we'll make sure that it's a fun week. But if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see, we are open to that. Did you have something, Kevin?
No, I was just going to say that, yeah, we're family, but it's probably taken 300 years for for us to get back together.
Yes, it's all friendly now. Maybe not so much if we had gone back in time. That's for sure. So
Jennifer, I did have a question on the conference in 2021. What are the dates?
Trish, do you have them by chance? Is it May 27th? Would I be right?
You know what? I can't look it up without hanging up.
Okay, hold on.
No, I was curious too. Is it U.S. Memorial Day?
Yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend.
Is it on Memorial Day
weekend? Yeah, that I remember. Yeah, because it follows it back to back with the American Revolution Conference.
Okay, yes. Yeah, and that was part of our planning, is that the American Revolution Conference will be the weekend after ours. So we know that one of our members, the president of Vancouver branch, Christine Manzer, went down this year after she went to the ULAC conference. So we'd like to back these two conferences. So yeah, it may run into your holiday weekend, I guess, eh?
Memorial Day in 2021 is Monday, May 31st.
No. It is May 25th.
25th?
Yes.
Okay. Then the marvelous oracle of Apple is live.
I think at some point we have the 27th, I think, is our, till June, I think, is it possible till June 1st? I've got to get my hand on the calendar. I probably have a calendar, so you're probably, right. Let's see.
I'm in the States, so I should know.
Yeah, right. All right. And you know, I'm at the point where you take something and then you have to go about 8 for that. It is, I guess it starts on the Thursday. So yeah, the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th of May.
No, the 27th would be Wednesday.
No, I got the 27th Thursday.
Thursday's
That's Thursday.
no, Thursday the 27th.
Really?
2020.
Yeah, 2021.
2021.
Oh, 21. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, panic. We need a couple years still.
That would be the 31st. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Memorial Day changes every year, so we don't know when it is. It's always like the last Monday in May. So.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, I think that's how our Victoria Day works too. It kind of moves around.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's the Thursday to the Sunday. We are arranging to have a couple of extra days of events in the Cornwall SD&G, so Stormont, Dundas, Glengarry areas, to encourage some of our members and guests who come to the conference as a historic conference rather than as a ULEC conference, to stay in the area before they move on to the American Revolution Conference. And then most of us, or some of us, will go down to the American Revolution Conference, so there's continuity between, you know, the people that they've met on the Canadian side with the ones that they'll meet on the American side. So we're really trying to cross-promote with our friends in various areas. We just happen to focus on the Mohawk Valley because that's where most of us have our connections at this point. It's not to say that we wouldn't like to encourage this kind of cross-promotion and reach into other regions. So if you have connections, that would be great.
And Mohawk Valley's drivable for us, so.
It is, yeah, and for Niagara too. Like it's you know, interesting just because of the geography. It's basically the same distance for us to drive into the Mohawk Valley as it would be for people from the Niagara region to drive there. So it, you know, encompasses quite a wide area of Canadian Loyalist families that would have settled, particularly, of course, in Ontario and Quebec. Those even in settled in the Maritimes might have been part of the families that were, of course, in the Mohawk Valley as well. So lots and lots of people have connections into that area. And I will say that the Eastern branch, Nova Scotia branch, does a very good job of linking with the Black Loyalist Historical Society. So if we wanted to, you know, reach out to them a little bit more to be able to make these connections, we can certainly take advantage of that. So does that answer a little bit? Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention, my Loyalist ancestors were from the Hudson Valley.
Yes.
And it's something that I don't think is as well known or as well documented as the Mohawk Valley.
Right.
And so that's, in fact, I know very little myself. I've, you know, dug a few things out of articles online and things such as that, but it really hasn't been looked at closely.
Yeah, yeah. And actually that leads nicely into an opportunity that we have that unfortunately we couldn't take advantage of this year, but sometimes things happen for a reason. Peter Feynman, I don't know if you know Peter Feynman from New York City. Yeah, he actually had invited us to march in the in the 4th of July parade as the Loyalist group this year. We couldn't get it together, but that's okay. Because as it turns out, I said, well, we'll show up in 2020. He said, well, good, because that's the 250th anniversary. And we want to make a real big bang, so it'd be nice to have some Loyalists there. One of the things that Peter offered was to organize a tour of the Hudson Valley sites for Loyalists. So,
Great. Perfect.
Segue into that opportunity. So we will definitely need some help with that planning because it's, you know, it's a lot to organize places for people to stay, particularly in a big anniversary year like that. I think Amanda's going to be working with the reenactors to see how many we can get to go down, and they have their own special requirements. So we'll try to bring that together. But yeah, for sure, we'll be looking at doing bus tours of the Hudson Valley. And I don't know a ton about Hudson Valley Loyalists, but it's certainly something that's often asked for. So yeah, good point. Good point. Okay. Next, newsletter. Content. Please bring us content. Amanda, we're going to be trying to get that out on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all smile broadly. That is the intent. Obviously, everybody's super busy, but I'm going to be creating a master calendar. I'm going to make that accessible to all members. We have a calendar right now for events, and Kevin provided me with a ton of events, and I was able to load those up on there. And those are events held by other people, but I'd like to have a master calendar for our branch so that we can keep track of when meetings like this take place, but also when committee meetings and when we have a call for special need for help for some of the special events that we're looking at. But newsletter is certainly something that we need to get onto that calendar to be out monthly. It will probably be shorter in its length, but more timely in its content, particularly because Amanda went to the American Revolution Conference in the Mohawk Valley, and Trish and I, is anybody else here? Oh, and David went to the ULAC conference in Ottawa, and so we could report on things like that if you didn't have a chance to go. So that's about it. Can I ask, the faces I'm seeing, did everybody that was due to get a Gazette get their Gazette? Kevin, did you get yours?
I got mine this time.
So Trish, it's not the issue we thought.
No, because I was told that they looked into it, and that when they downloaded our file, everything sort of shifted, and they didn't have any of our addresses in there. But obviously, that's not the case.
Andy, did you get yours? You didn't get yours. And are you a member of another branch, though? So you should have gotten yours. And Julianne, you're a member of another branch, I think, eh? So did you get yours? You're going to type. She's going to type.
That's okay. I'll speak. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I did receive mine. I'm a member of other branches.
Okay, so you would have gotten it as probably a primary member of another branch?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, so we'll look into that. I think maybe it's only a couple individuals that didn't get theirs then. So we just want to make sure that we're on top of that.
My first cousin, once removed, sent me the newsletter from June 2nd, UELAC newsletter. She sent me that letter because she's not a member, but she knows somebody else who is a member, but yet she doesn't want to become a member yet because, I don't know, the whole thing is just weird.
Okay. So was it the digital magazine that you got?
No, she sends, this one is called Loyalist Trails UELAC newsletter.
Yeah, that's
the one that Doug does,
you can join that. I think anybody can join that one. Okay. And if you're not currently aware of it, on the uelac.org page, you can sign up to get Loyalist Trails every week, and it has excellent content. A lot of the content is just stuff we can't get into the Gazette in 2 issues in a year. So yeah, that's a good one. But if you didn't get the magazine, either digitally or in hard copy, please let us know. Okay, so I'll get you down, Andy, too, because you're the second person now.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, asking for, does anybody like planning things? We put out a call on our Facebook page for a volunteer executive director. Simply being that nice schedule I said that we need planned or put out. I will do if I have to, but it would be lovely to have somebody who likes to just organize and send out reminders to people in a mass reminder that there's an upcoming event. Maybe twig us to, and I think us, but I'm going to point at Jonathan next door to me because he can get the Zoom links ready for everybody. So if this is a position that you might be interested in, there is a bit of an outline on our website under the volunteer opportunities, and you can just take a look. It shouldn't be it's not a big intensive position, and none of the positions should be big intensive positions. So that's about it. So I think that's all I have to say. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to bring up. I know that Steve Wilson in Texas, has offered to do video production for us, and I am terribly lacking in getting the video and audio from my trip to Pennsylvania for a bit of a armchair travel. We thought that might be a fun, like 3 to 5 minute segments if we travel to different places that we can upload into a Dropbox the content of our videos and photos, and he'll produce those into something we can post for our members. We would also like to have a promotional video created for Bridge Annex, kind of, just on a video stating who you are and where you're from and why you joined Bridge Annex. And then we would upload those on the Dropbox, and then Steve can finagle those, I'm sure, into something fancy that would encourage people to participate. One of the big comments that we got when we went to the ULAC conference was how much the other branches appreciated having Bridge Annex available to their members, even if it's as a secondary member to us. That it's nice to be able to marry technology, have somebody who knows how to manage that technology. And again, I'm using that term "we" loosely because I'm not it. But it's such a nice way to connect with people, and even using this Zoom technology to be able to check in with each other on a quarterly basis, or to be really responsive to emails. So we never kind of decipher between, if you have a question, that you have to ask your primary branch. If you are a member, we will answer your question very quickly. And even if you're not a member, we will answer you very quickly because we are so connected. So we've certainly been accepted by the other branches, and not only that, but they're also gracious in being complimentary to what we're building. So that is encouraging for us going forward. And I think, Gary, that's maybe why you're joining us tonight. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. I do just a little bit about you from Kevin from the conference just a few days ago. He brought this up, and he sent me the information, to log in, and this is all totally new to me. So it sounds so.
Oh, welcome.
So, what is your position with the organization? Can you tell us all a little of your position in the organization?
Which organization?
Is that Palatines of America?
Oh, yes. Okay. Palatines to America it's a national organization. Not all the people are from New York, the New York Palatine group, and not even from the 17th or the 18th century. But our group, we have 6 state chapters. So I'm the president of the New York chapter, and the bulk of our membership are people who are descended from the 18th century immigrants from Germany to the Hudson Valley, then the Mohawk Valley.
Okay. And where was the conference? Oh, you said Sacramento? Is that right?
This is actually a bigger thing. This is the International German Genealogy Conference. There's the IGC, and then there's the IGGP, the International German Genealogy Partnership, which is actually an organization of organizations that covers the world, essentially. That we had people from Germany, Switzerland, the U.S., Canada, Australia, and even Brazil, a fellow from the German communities in Brazil.
Oh, yeah, right. Interesting. Wow. So I saw a posting for, was it a conference in Buffalo last year?
Yes, we had our National Palatines to America conference in Buffalo last year. And we've always been very focused on Eastern New York, primarily the Hudson Mohawk Valleys. We decided that there was no presence for German genealogy in Western New York, where there are a lot of Germans, mostly either 19th century Germans or people from the 18th century who eventually migrated westward. So that was our first foray to Western New York. We had a lot of success, and then in fact our most recent chapter meeting was at the end of April in Rochester. Again, new people were in attendance there. So, but this is all, this is all very fascinating to me because there's so many points of overlap. There's so many intersecting organizations. I really find it fascinating. I'll tell you real quickly about the Hudson Valley. The Upper Hudson Valley involved a lot of Palatines. They were usually second, third generation people who had come from Germany, who had various reasons to be on the loyalist side, including my fourth great grandfather, George Finkel, and then all of his children. Essentially, my third great grandfather, Johannes, came back to New York, but he moved from Columbia County, which is where they had lived, up to Rensselaer County, which was a very loyalist county. So there were a lot of people who remained in Rensselaer County who were loyalists at heart. So it was a more comfortable environment.
Interesting. And did they come to Canada and then went back, or did they never?
He apparently did. I'm trying to still figure out what happened there.
Okay.
I know that he was gone at some point because his wife, my ancestor also, was brought before the committees for conspiracy, and they wanted to expel her and one of her sisters-in-law, but they said no, that they were, responsible people and the community was completely behind them. So they stayed. So that indicates to me he went to Canada. I don't know what the circumstances were, honestly.
Yeah.
In Rensselaer County, there was again a German Palatine Lutheran church called Gilead Lutheran Church in Brunswick. And the pastor, Schwertfeger, had come over from Germany and was a staunch loyalist. And so the whole congregation were, and they were involved in the Battle of Bennington.
Yeah.
And then they had the Irish Palatines, who lived a little farther north in Saratoga County, who were also involved in that. So there was a lot of German involvement on the loyalist side, actually.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Actually, it's interesting because are one of you, is it Amanda or Trish, are you related to Schwertfegers?
I am.
Yeah, that's right.
So are you talking about John?
John Schwertfeger?
Yes, yes.
John. It was John.
Yes.
That's your ancestor, right, Amanda?
Yeah, he's my 6th great grandfather.
Oh, gee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has a big plaque in Morrisburg.
Yes, I've seen pictures of it.
Being the first Lutheran minister.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well, my fifth great grandfather is Angish, Anguish, and he was the one that came over from Prussia in 1751.
Okay.
And his last name was actually spelled, and I can't see it. Hold on, I have my ancestry.com open. It was spelled Enskisch, and that was translated into Angish.
Oh, I see.
And even though if you look at it, it looks like anguish, but there's no gua in German. It's all the hard G.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And so he didn't speak, he didn't read or write, and he was a loyalist, and he came over, let's see, when was it? I'm still trying to figure this thing out here. He was married in Stone Arabia in Stone Arabia, Montgomery, New York in 1752. And that was, of course, in colonial America. And he was a loyalist, including his 3 sons, and his 3rd son, which is my 4th great grandfather, is a UE. And
yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know that. Are you familiar with Lieutenant Henry Simmons' journal? Lieutenant Henry Simmons was the head of actually what had been a New York militia unit, and they went to the loyalist side, and they fought at Saratoga, and then they had to, after the battle was lost, they told the loyalists that they had to really leave because there was no provision for loyalists in the treaty that was signed, or the resolution of the battle. So they had to make their way up by foot to Canada through the forest, really unknown territory. And so Lieutenant Simmons had about, I think he had like 20 people with him. They were all like 18, 19 years old. And they were all German Palatines, including Henry Finkel, who was the brother of my direct ancestor. But they had, when you looked at their names, they're all German names or Anglicizations of German names.
Yeah.
Were any of the Finkels in Ernestown Township?
Yes.
Okay, because I live in Bath.
Oh, yes.
We have Finkel Park, so.
That's right. That's Henry Finkel.
Oh.
Yeah. He was my ancestor's brother, or the son of the previous ancestors, George Finkel. George had 3 sons: George, Henry, and John. But of course, originally they were Georg, Heinrich, and Johannes.
Yeah, yeah.
So John is the one, Johannes is the one who came back to New York for whatever reason.
I think there's a good opportunity. Amanda's actually the designer for the Loyalist Gazette. So if you're so inclined, it'd be a great article for a Gazette piece. Not just about your ancestors, but about, your organization too, because I think, particularly for Bridge Annex, we're not looking at reinventing the wheel. Like you said, there's a lot of crossover in what we're doing, and I love the idea that we could, share information and resources, and how can we kind of help each other, because I think it just then enhances what we can provide to our memberships.
Yes.
and direct them to those. So I love this, you know, kind of.
That would be great.
Yeah, I think that would be an excellent opportunity. So see, I knew people would be related somehow on a very small chat, as it always goes. Being all genealogy nuts, we'd all know that for sure. Yeah, so that's exciting. And I think, you know, I've written down a couple of things, the profile of the Palatine Association, but also Hudson Valley, you know, really looking at expanding our views, because I don't have a ton of Hudson Valley connections. And then, of course, we have, now, Steve, did your family ever come up into Canada?
Yes. My father, for example, was born in Cavalier, North Dakota, just right across the border. And then they took an ox cart and went up and settled in southern Saskatchewan. And he lived in a sod house until he was just going into high school. So, you know, he used to tell me all kinds of stories about the Mounties coming by, you know, on patrol, and about shooting antelope, and about the mailman coming. You could see him coming for miles and miles and miles. It was so flat. And the guy in the wintertime, had a flatbed, horse-drawn flat thing with skis on it, and he had a house on the back of it with a pot-bellied stove in it, and you would see the smoke over the horizon, so you knew the mailman was coming, and he would come and stay overnight with them in their sod house and keep going on. So I have recordings of him on tape talking about some of those, you know, before he passed away and stuff years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I have a lot of relatives in Guelph who, you know, the Guelph cemetery is full of all kinds of relatives of mine. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. You know, we have to look at, we talk a lot about expanding the narrative. So it's, you know, not just Loyalist families who came up during the American Revolution. And sometimes it's, you know, what happened to the generations after, and what have they done, and where did they end up? Because so many of ours that maybe started in Eastern Ontario certainly went west. That's where they all went, because if you weren't the first son that was going to inherit the farm, then you had to go west. And it wasn't always Western Canada. They were going into the Western US to look for new homesteads. But we also have, you know, a number of American families who went back into the US after living in Canada a generation or two after having fled after the American Revolution. And it was interesting because at one of the American Revolution conferences, the mayor of St. Johnsville in the Mohawk Valley was welcoming everybody to the town. And Peter Feynman said, "Oh, you traitors, what are you all doing here?" And then the mayor gets up and he goes, "Oh, by the way, my family came back 2 generations ago because we were loyalists and fled north." So, you know, it's a messy and interesting history, but I think we need to look at our common history in colonial America and then draw that out to your, you know, the story of the mailman being seen for miles coming across the flat prairies. And not only that, we actually, I think, have more American members of Bridge Annex than we do Canadians. So I find that really fascinating. So lots of great stories, and storytelling is such an important part, which is why I'm excited that Steve's offered to edit videos. So please, people, get some video to them, get some content loaded up, because I think that's going to be an important part of how we tell our different stories. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
You use the words traitors, and I won't go into all the gory details, but I, at the same time that I was looking into whether I had loyalist ancestors, I also was looking at the Sons of the American Revolution here. They had a state convention here, so because I was in the process of sort of getting to know them and kind of applying, I went down and helped them out even before I was a member and all that, and they gave me a little certificate and the like. And then I happened to mention that I had received my UE designation from Canada. Okay. I was then asked not to come back. Okay. I was asked not to come back. And I received an email from the president of the local chapter, who basically told me that I did not understand the Constitution if I were to support, you know, loyalist kinds of views, and that I was not a good American and the like.
Oh,
you know?
please.
Wow.
Excuse me. Excuse me. What?
Some people are still fighting the war. Yes.
Wow.
People are still fighting the war.
What
Okay?
organization was that?
Sons of American Revolution.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm not a member yet, but my lineage goes back to Buck.
Oh, interesting. Well,
And-
I mean, I don't know that that's true because when it's funny how different organizations and different chapters work because I was talking in Mohawk Valley and of all things, I forgot to bring a ULAC pin, but one man was very nice to give me a SAR pin and I wore that the whole time.
Traitor.
So, yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, maybe that's why we focus on New York State because everybody just seems to be so lovely. Maybe we've gotten over the deep wounds of war there. I don't know. But hopefully your story is a rare one.
I live in the Republic of Texas, so we're different.
Oh, that explains it. Never mind. I'm in California.
Okay.
So maybe I won't wear my loyalist garb when I go down there. Yeah. So, as always, I do encourage everybody that if you have ideas, this is not, the board of directors directs everything. We just kind of try to manage getting as many cool projects done as we can. So if you have something that you want to suggest, it would be good if you suggested and maybe help to bring it to fruition. But we don't want to tax anybody with doing too much, but certainly many hands do make light work. So we would appreciate anything that you can offer, whether and it again remotely. Some of us are on the ground in areas, but we don't mind doing that. Sometimes it's in the background organization stuff that's really helpful to free up our time to go into different areas. And there's several of us that live in Eastern Ontario, particularly that have easy access to Cornwall, for example, or the Mohawk Valley and things like that. So we're happy to go do that groundwork. I am having a meeting with Wade Wells, the director of Johnson Hall, on the 25th of July, I believe. So I do want to just provide a short report to everybody. I'll post that online and I'll send out a social media message. If we're good and we get out a newsletter on a monthly basis, maybe I'll put a little synopsis of what that meeting brought about so that I can give you the heads up about the events that we've planned for that week in the fall. It'll be a lovely time in the Mohawk Valley. I mean, the leaves should be changing by then. Lots of opportunities for places to stay, not just at the hotels, but there's so many lakes and cabins at that time of year that would be available. So we'll provide a list of accommodations that might be useful and then, all the details that we can. So any other comments for a little meeting here? No? Okay. All right. So
Trish, just a question. So there's 9 of us on this meeting. Gary's not a member, so there's 8 members. What's the membership of the chapter up to?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, we were closing in on 50. Okay, Jonathan's just going to pull it up.
No, that gives me a good idea.
Yeah, and like I said, it is more American members. Some had Loyalist ancestors, and I think we do have a couple members that had no Loyalist ancestors but are interested in the Loyalist history. So, yeah, Jonathan's just going to check that for us.
I'm not quite certified yet.
Oh, yes, and I think Trish emailed you today.
Yes, she did. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, and you don't have to be certified to be.
Now I've got a face to the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I hope to get it, but
yeah,
I don't see why. I just don't see why I wouldn't, because I do have all the proofs.
Yeah, no, I think it's a rare.
The good news about this community is I live only a half an hour away from our Dominion genealogist.
Oh, good.
And I'm also a member of Toronto branch, which is where I started, and the genealogist there has offered to help me as well. So we've got everybody's going to be working towards making sure that if we're missing anything, that we do get it.
Good. I have all the information, so let me know what you need.
Yep.
I know that those of you in Canada probably know Carol, the genealogist, who's in the Nova Scotia branch, and she was wonderful in helping me, work that. We set up a Dropbox and we just exchanged files back and forth all the time and all that. And she was terrific, in providing support.
Awesome.
And looking up things on the Canadian side, for me and the like. So it was great.
Well, Charlene was really good with me, so.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit I don't know a ton about the Eastern Canada records. They are different to access in Library and Archives Canada and Ontario records. So it's great if there's an amazing genealogist in the East Coast. So just update.
It's mostly Carol. It's mostly Carol Harding.
Exactly, that's who helped me.
Oh, Carol. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 52 members. Yeah.
Thanks.
So we're getting there. And I don't know, does that include our supporting members, supporting organizations? No, so that doesn't include the 3 supporting organizations.
We have maybe
he joined as an individual. Yeah. So for example, Brian Mack at Fort Plain, they joined as an organization. Brian joined as an individual to Bridge Annex, and then they're going to encourage their membership to join Bridge Annex because there is so much interest within these organizations that have sort of partnered with us. So we do plan on, I don't know if I owe you money, Amanda, but did we join the VHA, the Valley History Alliance?
Yes.
Okay, so we are also a supporting member of the Valley History Alliance now, and of course they are, a conglomerate of a variety of groups. So
3 family memberships.
Yeah, and we have 3 family memberships. So when we say 52 members, there could be multiple family members.
Yeah, Wayne was not happy with me when he realized that when I was doing my secondary membership, I neglected to add him to the rolls, and he was not happy with me when he found that out.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to go in and fix that.
Yes, yeah. So we're working on a few things. We've been talking about things like when we join. So memberships in ULAC run January to the end of December, but that's not necessarily when people join Bridge Annex. So we've sort of been playing around with how we can roll over memberships so that you would continue to have access to Bridge Annex things until you rejoined. It may mean you miss a magazine, say in the spring, but you pick it up on the next spring. So we're going to try to see how we can do roving kind of membership timelines. If anybody has any great solution to that, please let us know, because we do have to submit our dues in January to ULAC, which creates a bit of an issue with that. So we're trying to make Bridge Annex as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. Easy to use, easy to renew memberships. I know it's been a bit of an issue. I think, Kevin, you ran into this issue twice now. Jonathan's been trying to fix the bug on MemberPress. So if you have previously joined manually, it doesn't let you rejoin online for some reason. So you don't look like a renewing member. So
No, it wasn't that.
what was it?
One website to another.
Oh, we were hosted by ULAC for a while until we got our own website. That was the problem. So now we're independently hosted, so we should be okay. Yeah. So if you have any features that you've seen on other organizations that you've really enjoyed, you can let us know. I know one of the suggestions that we had from one of our members that's not on tonight, she wanted to see more profiles of average loyalists on our profiles pages. So she supplied a profile or a bio for one of her ancestors. So if you want to put your ancestor up, you just email us the information that you've put together, and we'll add them to the bio page in alphabetical order so that people can read those. And they are open to anybody, not just members. So it's kind of nice because it expands that. Other than that, I think that's it. Anybody got anything else to add?
I had a thought that if we have an area that's just accessible to members, that was kind of like an archives. So if there was documents that might be helpful to other people that we could upload to there.
Yeah, we were actually, talking about that. I don't think Jonathan will have time in the next little while, but we were talking about maybe doing a database like Ancestry for a member, where you could, you know how ULAC has the Loyalist directory, but there are no documents attached to it?
Yeah.
So we were hoping at creating something for Bridge Annex where we could have a sharing system for non-living people and load those documents up, and you can update the profile. So each individual could update their ancestor's bio and profile and the supporting documents. It would be submitted. We would just assess it to make sure that there was no living person documents, and then we would load it up into the database. So that may be a bigger project than we can.
Yeah, that sounds complicated.
Well, I don't know if it's super complicated once it's created, but essentially it would work like Ancestry.
Okay.
Which would be ideal because then it's self-managing, right? We just have to approve the posts before they're actually loaded up.
And also portraits. Also portraits.
Oh yeah, I mean that's.
I have a portrait of my third great-grandfather.
Most of mine don't have portraits because they were too poor for that. But
but it's such a great way of sharing things that you would never see otherwise. So if anybody knows a real tech genius beyond my tech genius, who's a little overloaded right now, that would be a good thing to get going. We are going to be going for some grant money. So maybe, Trish, that might be something we want to pop in there.
Yep.
Is try to get some grant money to get that done by experts who do this for a living. Yeah. So if anybody hears of any grants that are available to us, we'd be happy to fill out the paperwork. We're working on one right now. We did get a grant from ULAC, as most of you know, for $2,200 to support the technology that we're using. It partly paid for Zoom, and then we're just looking at getting some better camera equipment so when we go to events. I'll be attending an event this weekend, which Amanda is reenacting in. And there'll be a speaker there, so I hope to bring you some video. Maybe I'll throw it over to you, Steve, and I'll have you put it into a nice order. And then I won't have to do too much audio because I'll pick up the audio from all the other individuals that are there. So hopefully some of that grant money will pay for that. And then the City of Cornwall, as I said, has not only encouraged us to apply to them for monies for 2021, but also encouraged us to apply for other grants that they know of through the Ministry of Tourism. And I don't know, the ministry changes, Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and something else. So that was good to get to know what those grants were that are open to us to apply to. So other than that, anything else? No? No, well, thank you all for joining us. I mean, that's always, you know, great food for thought. It's so nice to meet everybody. And Gary, of course, you're welcome to join us on our quarterly meeting. That would be fun. I don't think we meet again online until, am I right, September? Yeah, September 26th. I think we'll do a 7 to 8 p.m. again. That'll be a Thursday. And that is posted, by the way, on our website. So if you want any special meetings in the meantime, if you want to join any of our committees, there is information on our website about committees that we're looking to form. We just need bodies for them. So please feel free to volunteer. Okay. All right. So thanks again. The video of this conference, this meeting, will be loaded up in short order in the next few days so that you can review it if you want to. We'll encourage members who weren't able to join us tonight to take a look at that. And other than that, I think that's it for us. Yep. Yeah, I'm just getting a nod. Yes, that's it for us.
First, I want to thank Kevin for letting me know about this, and thank you, Jennifer, and everyone else.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, well,
oh, one thing I just wanted to mention, because it was asked before for us to have a brochure for the group. So I have done it, and I tweaked it a little bit, Jennifer, just because you said it was more of, it sounded kind of future tense. And
yeah, I think because our website needs to be updated.
Yeah. So I can maybe upload it even to our website. I don't know. Or if somebody wants a copy of it, it's just a PDF and then you could print it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Could you make it available, Amanda? I'd very much like to see it.
Yep. I'll send it to you, David. And then you can, if you have any suggestions, I can do some more work on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd like to see it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amanda, do you have logos for Bridge Annex? I imagine you probably do.
Oh, yeah, I can send that
format
too.
or the like and stuff.
Yeah, Amanda, yeah, a graphic designer.
Yeah, because I would like to get that, to use that, of course, on the beginning of videos that we use, that represent, so.
Sure.
So this sort of then makes me think that what I should do is we'll load it up just in a member area for everybody to look at the brochure as a draft.
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll load up like things like the logos and any other promotional material for like Steve to use or anybody who wants to kind of use it on something to promote Bridge Annex.
Yeah.
We can just make that downloadable then. And we'll do it like in what, JPEG and PDF kind of thing?
Yeah, or PNG maybe?
PNG, right, yeah. Yeah.
Is that work for you, Steve, or?
Yeah, that's fine. EPS, any of those kinds of things, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, I have a vector file too, if you want me to send.
Vector files work nicely, so.
Yeah, definitely.
So anybody who has, an idea, although Amanda does a lot of promotional material, it's always nice to get different ideas of what you think has caught your eye in the way of how to promote something. Because I know that I pick up paper and that I don't typically read the paper unless it's, really vibrant like the one that Amanda's created or has something I want to refer back to. So if you have an idea for any promotional opportunities, whether it be paper-based or social media, I don't know if we're linked on Twitter. I think, Kevin, you use Twitter a lot, do you? Do you use Twitter?
Actually, not at all.
Not at all. Oh, okay. All right. So I don't know how connected we are to Twitter because it's just not something I use often, but we're trying to make sure we get across the board. I am only good at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. That's it. I don't know what the other new stuff is, but if there's something new that you know of that works, please let us know. Yeah. Okay, so we'll get that brochure loaded up as soon as Amanda sends it. I'll put it in a member section. Is everybody connected on the Facebook page, first of all?
On the group page, yeah.
On the group page?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if I post it there, that it's in the member section, I will let you know what that tab is. Yeah. Okay. Good. So there's another thing on my list. All righty. Well, I'm going to sign out. I think it's time to head out. The sun's coming up here.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.